Interesting person. So I'm quite excited to be discussing and exploring a lot of ideas with her. So welcome, Simamkele Dial.
Thank you.
How do I say your surname?
Simamkele Dial.
Dial, listen. You
Dial the number.
You dial the number.
Yes.
So, but that's curious. Do you mind sharing?
Unpacking the dial part.
Yeah.
So my surname is my great grandfather's surname.
Yes.
From my maternal side.
Okay.
So he was a policeman.
Yeah.
And so I think at the time to get into
The police force.
the police force,
Yes.
you needed to be somehow associated with the white.
I see. So you need to have that connection.
So yeah, I needed to have that connection, and I think it was changed from Daile to Dial. But then another thing is that we have a colored
Background. Yes.
So I'm not sure whether it was Xhosa Daile or something connected to a colored surname, which was close to Dial. But then
Okay. But otherwise, it still makes you a curious person.
Yeah. But you'll find that a lot of Xhosa people have the, a Xhosa name.
Yeah, true.
So
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those.
Okay, I mean, so
I've never really, I heard stuff in passing, but it was never, like, I've never had a conversation about it. Yeah.
Sitting the elders down and say, what's up? Fill me in.
Tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but do people respond very strangely to your name? Did you have any interesting stories about people confusing you or?
So, I mean, in primary school, I went to my grade 1, my second grade 1, because my first grade 1 I went to a predominantly black school, township school.
Yeah. Sparkle.
Yeah.
Not a burger. Okay.
Yeah, and then the second time around I went to a colored school.
Yeah.
And they forced me to repeat grade 1.
Because you were young, or your English was not.
I think it was because I was young.
I see.
Because I think I was 5 when I was in grade 1 in the first year. So I had this teacher, Mrs. Apollos, and she would call my name Simamkele.
Yeah.
And it would irritate me. But we built a really good relationship
with her.
Yeah, so I let it pass.
Okay.
I let it pass. Yeah, but I've never really experienced issues. But when I moved to Joburg, though, when someone hears your name and they're like, "Are you Xhosa?"
Yes.
Because you don't sound Xhosa. Because I'm very multilingual.
Yeah.
So when I speak Zulu, ngathi ngiyumZulu.
Oh, so you are proper.
So a person would just be like, "Your name does not sound Zulu."
Yeah.
Uyini.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, and there's a lot of connotations of Xhosa women in Johannesburg.
Really?
Yes.
Like, such as?
We gold diggers.
Yes.
We take people's men.
Apparently.
Which is not true.
It's not true.
I don't think it's true.
Where do you think that comes from, though?
I just think we're really pretty.
Yeah. And
it's easier for a man to be like, I want you, and I'm gonna leave this one for you, But I think also a lot of Xhosa women carry a lot of strength with them. Yeah. So we are very grounded in terms of personality. We're very confident as well. Yes. So it's just like, you ain't gonna mess with me because I'm gonna show you. Yes. And that threatens people. Yeah. When you're a confident person and you know who you are, it makes people feel small.
Yeah, because people feel, I suppose, intimidated.
Yeah, intimidated. Threatened. And then combine that with beauty.
I see. So
and then combine that with brains.
Oh my God,
it's
like double threat.
Education, and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's a lot.
Yeah, well, if I think about confidence, I think about background, I think about parenting. Yeah. I think about how your parents or the society in your culture has given you the freedom to I suppose, to express yourself. Mm-hmm. And when you express yourself, being allowed to be a person and to have a voice. So I think about things like that. Do you think, or maybe particularly for you, was it like that in growing up? Were you given space to express yourself?
You know what you're saying, it brings about a bit of contrast.
Yes.
Because I think we are socialized as a particular cultural group to be very confident, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that it is necessarily connected to how you parented.
Yeah. So it's more in the culture.
It's more in the culture, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I mean I didn't necessarily grow up in a space that was very functional.
Yeah.
It was functional but dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And I mean I grew up as a kid who really had mouth, but I knew that there's certain places that I'm not allowed to.
Or would you get smacked, or would they say, shh?
Actually, just my mom only hit me once.
Okay.
My grandmother probably 2 times that I remember. You know, one was when I broke the TV and I ran and I went to my great grandparents'
how old were you?
I think I was 7.
Oh, my daughter pushed someone else's TV the other day, so I'm just. So what you ran away?
I think was I 7? I might have been younger, but I ran and I went to my great grandparents' place, and she came back from work and the TV was broken, and she came looking for me. And during that time, it was when cell phones weren't a thing, so she had to call the landline, be like, "Is she there?" And then they're like, "No, she went to go play." And she's like, "I'm coming for her."
And she did come.
And she came for me.
My goodness.
So that was the first time she hit me, and then the second time was I made fun of my great grandfather.
Yeah.
At the time, he was dancing to some song on TV, and I was just like, why don't you go dance outside? Because that's what I had always been told. When you stand in front of the TV, don't go dance outside. And so I said the same thing. Oh, my grandmother showed me.
I suppose in the same attitude.
Are you saying this to my dad?
Yeah.
Those were the 2 times when my gran hit me. My mom, I actually speak about that story in my book.
Which book? Masterpieces.
Yeah,
that's your second book.
My second book, yes. And she hit me because I wanted to go to PE.
Okay.
Her cousins had come to Grahamstown and I wanted to go with them. But I was due to go to PE, I think the following day or the day after, because she wanted to take me shopping. Or I don't know whether she was going to have money the following day, but it wasn't going to work for me to leave on that day. And I was just telling her, I want to go. And she's saying, you're not going.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, she just gave me a bottom clap.
Ooh, out of the blue, eh?
Yeah, and it was the first time, and she hit me, and I hit the wall, and I started bleeding. And I think that scared her, but I also got scared because it was the first time she was hitting me, and then she started saying things, you're not gonna tell me what to do. And she said this in Xhosa, and she said,
meaning a child
won't control me, which basically meant your dad had left me desolate, and now you want to come and control me. That's not gonna happen. And it was the first time I had heard my mother speak about my father.
And how old were you at the time, though?
I think I was 9. I think I was 9. So because I had come back from Lichtenburg, because I stayed in Northwest. Yeah. So I had come back from Lichtenburg. I think I was on holiday or something like that. Yeah, I think I was on holiday. So, I was then going to spend time in PE, come back, and then leave again. So it was the first time I had heard her speak about my dad, and a word like enyanyeni, you can tell when someone says it that there's something deep here.
Yeah, I mean, that's even urged in your memory.
And I didn't know what it meant. I think I probably started interrogating it when I was in high school. When I asked, I think my grandmother mentioned something like that, and then mentioned the word enyanyeni, and I was like, my mom had once done said this, and I didn't know what the meaning of the word was, but and so those were the 2 times that the first time that my mom hit me, and the 2 times that my gran.
I mean, speaking about your childhood, as you write a lot about it, and I think in your first book, my Pain Perfected.
Yes,
because I remember we met. Was it 3 years ago? 2015, right?
2015, yeah.
And I remember we were talking about what's your message.
Yes, what my message is.
What your message. You need to find out what your message is, and and so we spoke a bit later, and even so in the contribution,
I think that actually shaped how my entire speaking journey, has been that conversation that we had.
No, wonderful, And you refer to your childhood, and if you don't mind, if we talk, you can talk a little bit about that, and because what I find in your readings, your writings, is that it was quite a painful part, a painful part of growing up. Yeah, do you mind maybe?
Okay, so going through that.
Taking us.
So my earliest, we were talking earlier about how old your daughter is.
Yes.
And you were saying
what happens to the brain?
What happens to the brain? Yes. And my earliest memory is probably from 5.
Yeah.
So before that, I can't remember anything. And so from the age of 9, I think it was 8 or 9, I think, I left Grahamstown, which is where I was born. Excuse me. So I left Grahamstown and went to go stay in Lichtenburg, Northwest. That's where I learned how to speak Tswana.
I see. So you can speak Xhosa?
I can speak Xhosa.
And Tswana.
I can speak Zulu fluently. Now I struggle a bit with Tswana, but I understand it completely.
Because you'd have to practice it. Language is a muscle.
So when I left Grahamstown at the age of 9, I was leaving a part of me that then became blocked from 9, let's say from 9 up until 24.
Yeah.
Which part of it was that I had been raped by 3 different guys between the ages of 6 and 9. And I can't tell when it started because my memory had blocked it. And so when the memories came, I could tell that, but this was during that time and this was during that time. So, and it was not one-time events.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a recurring thing.
It was a recurring thing between the 3 guys.
Yeah.
And it was recurring because these were people that actually were very close to my family in a way. One of them played an uncle role. He stayed next door to my great-grandparents' house. One of them,
which was where you grew up.
Which is where I grew up. One of them stayed next door to my grandmother's house, which is home for me. And one of them was an uncle to a girl I was friends with in primary school. So when I went to go visit her, the first time it happened, it was when I had gone to visit her and she was not home, so I was waiting for her.
Yeah.
That's how that started. So all of that got blocked.
You repressed it.
I repressed it. Yes, you put it perfectly.
Yes, that's true about repressed memories.
Yes. Yeah. And another thing was that at that point in time, my mother was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
My earliest memory of her alcoholism is probably from 6 because I didn't stay with her. I stayed with so I was in between my grandmother's place and my great-grandparents' place.
Your paternal... paternal grandmother and great-grandmother.
Yeah, so they were still alive at the time.
But does that also mean that your mom had you when you were young?
Yes, so my mom had me when she was... I think she got pregnant when she was 19 because she gave birth at 20. So she had to leave school when she found out that she was pregnant. So she chilled for about 2 years. So they were still alive at the time, my great-grandparents. And so her alcoholism, I think my earliest memory is 6. And she didn't get along with my grandmother, her mom. And so there was a lot of friction, you know, because my mother had a long mouth.
Yeah, they were clashing. She was clashing with her own mother.
She was clashing with her own mother.
Yeah.
And
did they just have different views, or
they
what
had
was it
different
about?
views, but it's an interesting thing now that I am older.
Yeah.
And I've picked up certain things that have caused a gap and a lot of friction between me and my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I wonder if those were not
as well
the issues, you know?
Yeah.
Because when I look at myself and I look at my mom, we're the same person, but our journeys have been completely different.
Okay.
She was, you know, teenage pregnancy, crazy girl who just said whatever, didn't want to go to school, etc. And my journey was completely different, you know. And I look at my grandmother and think to myself, but I'm the dream child you wanted.
Yeah.
But I'm still not enough.
Yeah, we still clash. That made you a bit suspicious.
Yeah, so it still begs a lot of questions on my head.
Okay.
So because of my mom's alcoholism, then there was a lot of dysfunction because I would move from here to there.
Yeah.
And that is why I ended up moving to Lichtenburg. Because I think she wanted me to be away so that I don't see her suffering.
She couldn't take care of me properly.
Yeah, she couldn't take care of me properly. And not that my grandmother wasn't taking care of me properly, but because she felt like I'm her mother, I must decide. Yeah. You know, but there's a crazy thing also about that, because when I was due to leave for Lichtenburg, the day I was supposed to leave, my mother then didn't want me to go.
I see. And
I had to then make the decision to go.
So you had to go against your mom.
Yeah. And every time I tell that story, I always choke, because it was probably the first time adulthood kicked in for me.
Because you had to
make the decision of where I'm going to stay, because what is better for my well-being, and deeming my mother an unfit mother.
And how did you, what made you decide that this person is my mom, will not be able to take care of me? So
it was the chaos between my gran and her.
So things you had observed.
Things I had observed. I mean, we had never stayed in the same house, my mom and I. And there'd be times where she'd come back and get me because she's just mad at my grandmother and she wants to get back at her. And so we are sleeping at a friend's place, or we're sleeping at a boyfriend's place, you know? And then when she feels like, okay, now I can't take it anymore, she'll take me back. And there were days where my gran would just from the home, and she'd get her clothes in black plastic bags, you know. So all of that were things that I grew up witnessing, and so based on that, I had to make a decision what is going to be better. But another thing was that Lichtenburg, when you're in the Eastern Cape, especially when you're queued up, you're going to have dang, you know?
I see. You're
going to have a better life.
Yeah. And was it like that?
It was better.
Slightly.
It was slightly better. Yeah. I got to find out that it wasn't Gauteng, in Joburg.
It's not the city of gold.
I was going to Northwest, which is a very Boere,
different culture.
And you know, it was also just a different experience for me, because I wasn't fluent in Tswana. I didn't know. I didn't understand.
So you had to go to school.
I had to go to school. I went to a multiracial school, but it was mostly Indian people. And so also my speaking at that point in time, I didn't have posh English.
I see.
It was just like normal English. What's your name? Simamkele. There was nothing fancy about it. And so I went to Lichtenburg, and Lichtenburg was good. You know, it was the first time I had a setting where there was a mother and there was a father.
And who are these people at the time?
They are, so Umama was my mom's cousin.
Okay.
And she was married, and her husband was a priest. So
I see.
It's amazing. God knows how to channel you.
You're going into ministry.
He knows how to channel you. And so I lived in Lichtenburg for a year. And
did they have other children?
They had 2 sons.
Okay.
And an older daughter, but the daughter was not staying with us. I think she was here. She was in Joburg, and we were in the Northwest.
So you go to this new place, Lichtenburg. You go to this school where you now have to, I suppose, learn posh English. And now you had a bit of stability as well. And what was that like? I mean, did you have any major events, any interests that came up at that time?
Not really. I think I knew that I wanted to be there, but I didn't want to be there. You know, I wanted to be where my mother was.
I see. So so I mean, do you mean the structure? The structure
was great,
but it wasn't home.
It was not home.
Yeah.
The structure was great, and I mean, they created such a comfortable place. It was the first time I think I felt like a girl. You know, I had my own room.
Yes.
And all of that, but because it wasn't home, because I knew these are not my parents, because I knew that life was completely different, I also felt that there's a lot that I must live up to, and I don't understand why I must do that.
Because there were a lot of expectations?
Yeah, a lot of expectations, and not expectations that were said, but you know, when you have a father who's a priest, and at the time Papa was studying law, you know, and so he was very academic, and I'm just like, I ain't used to this. Very articulate. I ain't used to this, you know, and he had a particular way of addressing us as well, you know, which came from a lot of place of love, but also you must know where you're going. Yeah. And I wasn't used to that because no one had ever said to me, you must think about the future, you know, like what do you want to be? Yeah. I had never thought of, so I was like, this is a lot for one person. I can't deal with this. And back home, things are chilled, you know, things are chilled. And I don't come from a family also that has a lot of educational background. Yeah. So I was just like, that's a bit much for me. Yeah. That's a bit much.
It was a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. But it was a beautiful experience of who I was actually becoming. I'm not sure becoming who I actually was, but I didn't know. I see. So a lot of self-discovery there. Yes, a lot of self-discovery, because I mean, everything that I am now is all connected to that place. Yeah. You know?
And then what about, I mean, you spoke about the sexual abuse then, and how it was repressed. And how did that come out? How did that come out later? I mean, how did you remember that? How did you kind of what led you to think?
So because of the dysfunction I came from, right? I had traits of being an unruly child even while I was in Lichtenberg, you know, and I think also developed a sense of being a liar because I wanted to get my way out so that I could go back home. Yeah. So I'd just be naughty so that they just like, you are undeserving.
Naughty, like backchatting, coming back late, or
I was very cheeky, you know, cheeky.
So you talk back.
Yeah, and I'd just be like, I want to go home, and then I'd say, you know, they're very like abusive, but not in the kind of traditional abuse. I'd just be like, they're not treating me well and all of that. When I'd speak to my mom and I would write her letters, you know. This one time Mama found that.
Would you invent stuff in the letters, or was it stuff that was?
It wasn't inventing really, but I mean, lying is
exaggerations.
When you reprimand a child, you're not abusing that child.
Yeah, you just reprimand.
But like at spice.
I see. So you
at spice.
To have the desired effect.
Yeah, because Mom was very strict. I mean, Papa would not even hit us, but Mom was very strict, and so she was the one who was disciplining, and I just like.
The disciplinarian in the family.
Spice in her discipline, but the letters would never be posted, so she found. I think she found some of the letters and. Did she hit me? I think she hit me.
Because of the letters that she found?
Yeah, of the letters that she found.
Did that affect your relationship?
I think it did affect our relationship, but our relationship was just forming also. Yeah. You know, we didn't have much time together. We had a year together, and I think because she saw or they saw that I don't want to be there, you know, and it doesn't matter how much of a great structure they have, it's not working for me. Then I went back home.
I see. I find that, I mean, people who later realize that, you know, I think something traumatic happened to me, they start having difficulties relating to other people.
Yes, definitely.
And did that come up for you?
That came up for me, but I realized it later when the thoughts of the abuse came resurfaced.
Did something spark them, or
what actually happened is that I started writing my first book, but I was writing a letter to myself because I'm an introvert. There was a lot of things that were not making sense in my life, and I felt like there's this dark cloud that keeps following me, and I don't have luck with a lot of things. Well, that's how it was happening in my brain. I'm just not lucky, and it feels like there's just something that's following me, and I don't know what it is. So to try and make sense of the space I was in, I started writing. Which was something that, I was writing letters when I was younger. So writing had always been there. Yes. And writing was my friend because I couldn't relate to people. So I didn't have a lot of friends as well. And so as I start writing, I go back to my earliest memory, my great-grandparents and how life was. And it came it was as if I was dreaming, but it was a vision. I was lying on my bed. I had just written that night, and I was lying on my bed, and all of a sudden I could smell socks, dirty socks, and my brain automatically went to my next door neighbor from my grandparents' place, and the socks had semen. So I could smell the semen as well. And so I'm lying there, and I'm just like, I can tell that I'm having an out-of-body experience because I know that I'm at my place. Why am I
seeing this?
And I turn and I look, and when I turn, I realize I'm seeing the floor. Those old beds that were steel?
Yes, with the springs.
So I'm just like, and then I'm like, okay, I'm clearly on the floor. That's how the memories came. And that was my second experience. So this was the second guy. He's not the one who started. From there, they came flooding. And then I had to get to a space where I was just like, when did this start now? And how do I now start speaking about this? Because I've never told anyone. But I'm just like, everything now makes sense. This is why I've always felt like I'm a messed up person, and then anger started brewing. Where was everyone? Why couldn't people see that there was something going on? And so basically that's how the memories started coming back. And they came back, I think nighttime was really the worst for me during that period, because I could try and suppress the thoughts and the memories during the day because I was working. But immediately when it's knock-off time, I know now you're going to confront your demons. So driving, I worked in Hillborough at the time.
And what were you doing at the time?
I was a project coordinator for a research institute, HIV and AIDS research institute. So driving home was about 45 minutes.
So you had to be alone, you and your thoughts.
Yes, me and my thoughts. I cried every day going home. That's probably when actually my weight gain started. Because I'd shower pizza alone with a bottle of wine because I want to sleep. And it would be a daily thing.
Was it like a lot of wine?
It was a daily thing. It was a daily thing, and it was a daily thing because I'd always had issues with alcohol because my mom was an alcoholic.
I see.
So I didn't want to be that girl who drinks.
So you had this relationship with alcohol. You thought, this I don't want it because I've seen what it can do.
So I would have like a random glass probably now and then, but it would never be a thing. But then because I was not a drinker really, I knew that wine got me drowsy. So I was like, this is gonna make me sleep because I knew going to a doctor then I have to unpack, and I'm not ready to unpack because the doctor's going to be like, I was diagnosed with depression when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I was just like, this thing's coming back.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for no medication. I don't want to be admitted anyway.
Yeah.
I just want to sleep.
Yeah, because you remembered what it was like
Yes.
before.
So I was just like, I just want to sleep. And every day was wine and pizza. I maxed out my credit card with wine and pizza. Nothing else.
Wine and pizza.
Wine and pizza.
Sounds like another book title.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah,
yeah. Wine and pizza. Japanese knew my name.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I can even tell you the wine.
Really?
I'm a rosé girl, so
okay.
Yeah.
So it was that.
It was that and pizza. Like a whole large, not
just a small little pizza.
Large. And I finish it. I'm not gonna get it for lunch.
So you eat the pizza, drink the wine.
Yeah, and then I start crying, and then I fall asleep for like 2 hours.
And at the time, you're thinking about the memories.
Yes.
And I find also people have been through, I suppose, sexual abuse, trauma. The other thing they're dealing with is this, like, I'm broken.
Yes.
I'm a broken person. I'm dirty. Nobody's gonna love me.
Definitely.
That's
why I'm saying that. I was just like, it makes sense why I'm this messed up, because I've always thought there's something messed up about you.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but you're
something
really
ain't right. You'd be thinking that. Yeah.
And so a lot of people would look at me. I mean, I'd walk on the streets at the mall, and everyone's just marveling. Oh, you're so beautiful. Yes. I don't know what.
Did it sound like an insult?
About.
Did you think they're lying?
I didn't see what people were talking about.
So it should be like, well, why are they saying that?
Because I didn't think I was beautiful. I didn't. So that's why I was saying to you at the beginning that the confidence that I had was a thing that was socially constructed within me that I held with great esteem. Yeah. But I was not a confident person. Internally. I was not a confident person. I didn't think I was beautiful, but I knew that I had to bath in the morning. Yeah. And, look pretty, but it didn't mean anything.
You didn't buy it. Yeah.
No, it didn't mean anything to me.
And did that affect, were you dating at the time? Did you date, your relationship with men?
Oh, dating.
Yeah.
My life has a lot of spice. So I started dating officially when I was 16.
Yeah.
My first boyfriend, first proper boyfriend. Well, my first boyfriend, we just kissed. I don't count him as my first boyfriend. Yeah. But maybe he might want to be my first boyfriend.
Yeah, he might.
Because I'm great.
Because you're somebody.
So my first proper boyfriend, we started dating when I was 16, and we were friends prior to that.
Yeah.
16 is when I officially broke my virginity. Yeah. How I describe it, I think it's in my first book, is that's when, with my permission,
your consent.
Yes, with my consent. Because a lot of people, I'm saying that because a lot of people are just like, but you weren't a virgin. Yeah. So that was.
People come and say that to you.
Yeah, people are mean.
Like people come and say that to you.
Yes, people are just like. But when you say you broke your virgin at 16, you weren't a virgin.
But where would they see that? Like after a talk or like...
If I'm at a talk, or if like... I think one time it was a radio interview, and someone called in.
And somebody just called in to tell you...
But there was a lady, I don't know where I was speaking, she came to me and she said... Oh, she didn't come to me.
Yeah.
It was a panel, people were asking questions, and she was like, I got confused. And she said it with such attitude. I got confused. You said you broke your virginity at 16, but you were not a virgin. And I'm just like, you haven't been raped, clearly.
Yeah. What was that?
If you've had any kind of... It's my story. And I tell it how I want to tell it. Yeah. And whatever makes a person uncomfortable is probably my pain shining a light on theirs.
Yeah, so you
So I try and separate myself from that, and I tell things like they are. So I was just like, with my permission, that's when I broke.
So there was this with this boy.
Yeah. Guy.
And so was it a typical relationship, or did it have a lot of ups?
We had a good relationship. Yeah. We had, because we were friends first. Yeah. We had a good relationship. I mean, we were friends for about 3 years before we started dating. Yeah. So, and I was one of those girls, like, We call them more 560 in Xhosa.
More 560.
Or 560.
Or 560.
Which means you're the main girl.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm not a girl, you side chick.
Oh, so
No.
So they were okay.
No, so if he had other ones, they were yes, I was the main. I was the main girl. And you know, my family knew him because we were friends, and his family knew me. But my grand didn't know that we were dating. She just thought he's a friend. We had a good relationship, but we were both growing up. He was quite good looking then.
Then.
I was quite good looking then. So a lot of girls were after him.
Yeah, there had a lot of competition.
Obviously, he thought he's great.
Yeah.
So I dumped him.
Okay. You thought he's great because he started entertaining other people?
Yeah, he had always had that thing. Like, I think he was just a playboy.
I see.
You know, and then he got me, and he probably thought, I've scored. Yeah. But yeah, I wasn't having it. So but I really loved him.
Then you broke up with him?
We broke up, yes.
Does he still message you now?
No, we don't talk anymore because his baby mama doesn't like me.
Oh.
See, I was that much of a great girlfriend.
I see.
Yeah. So he was my first proper boyfriend.
Yeah.
But after him, okay, I dated another person after him, which was quite a serious relationship.
Yeah.
After the third relationship, which was with a girl, I speak about that in my first book, but I also kind of complete the story in masterpieces.
Yes.
When I broke up with the girl, my sense of dating kind of diffused. I felt I see no point in this love thing because when you meet a person and you think that this is the one, and you sacrifice everything, your identity included, everything, then it doesn't work out. You're just like, okay, cool.
So I'm checking out. I'm not gonna do this.
So from her, the dysfunction that was from my childhood surfaced. Yeah. And then I was just like, yeah, whatever, this dating thing. So I date, but it wasn't kind of a thing.
You wouldn't commit.
Yeah, I wouldn't commit. Yeah. And even when I did try to commit, I'd just be kind of a bully in a relationship. You're not going to tell me this. You're going to do this. Yeah. So I hurt a lot of people in the process. And then I also realized that sex was my bargaining tool. Yeah. I was using sex as a love contract, you know.
In what sense? Would you say to me, or if you want this,
no,
you have to do 1, 2, 3?
I would use it in the sense that I'm giving you sex so that I show you that I love you.
I see. Oh, so you know? I see.
So my worth was very much connected to that. Yeah. And I didn't know at the time that it was connected to what I experienced in childhood. But sex became a thing that if a man looks at me and doesn't want to have sex with me, I have a problem with you.
Yeah, like what's wrong with you?
Like,
so you must not love me then.
Yes, you must not love me. And why is it that, you know, you're going to want to have dinner once, twice, 3 times, and there's no action? Yeah. What's wrong with you? You know? And that's distorted because it's so normal. Yeah. You know, well, for other people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the culture. Even now, I was going to ask you. I mean, what do you think about this rape situation in South Africa?
It is hard to live a life where you have to be transparent about your story every day so that you awaken people's consciousness to the pain that it causes to a victim. And I say victim because that's a socially used word, because I don't consider myself
you don't identify with it.
I don't identify with the word victim, but I say victim because a lot of people
understand that.
Because I feel like society is not conscientized enough. People don't understand the depth of being stripped away from everything that you are as a woman or as a little boy and turning a man by someone who simply is trying to enforce their power. And they do that to you. Yeah. Because you live to forever correct that. Yeah. Involuntary or voluntary, subconsciously or not. Yeah. You are living to forever correct the wrong that was done on you when you were not even an active participant, you know, where you gave no consent, where and again, because people get raped by their partners, you know, and one is then gonna say, but
and their brothers
and their brothers, you know,
people are supposed to take care
people
of
who are supposed to, and that's what brews so much anger, because you are asking yourself, if I cannot be protected by people who are supposed to love me, they don't have a choice in loving me. If you are my uncle, you don't have a choice. You have to love me because I am your blood. But if you don't have that kind of consideration, what am I expecting from the outside? You know? And I think that also awakened a part of me that was very angry with men in general. Because I realized that I didn't cry, you know, rape like other people would probably cry rape, because part of me blamed it on myself.
Why didn't you?
And I said to myself, if I grew up in a space where my mother was being beaten up by her own cousin brother, because my mom was just unruly, and I still remember my uncle holding a shambok, you know, if that was the kind of man that was in my life who was supposed to influence me, then what was it that I was expecting from the outside? So self-blame came with that,
which grabs a lot of people. So why didn't I say something?
Exactly. So I mean, we when we speak rape, we sound like angry people. You know,
but isn't the anger, I mean, is it not justified?
The anger is justified, but you know, when you get to a point where you're telling your story or you are angered by another incident of rape, it doesn't make you an angry person. You are angry at that. And I think a lot of people don't get that.
They struggle to make that distinction.
They struggle to make the distinction. I'm not an angry person, but I'm angry about what happened to me, and I'm angry about the little girl who's been raped by her mother's boyfriend. You know, I'm angry about the girl who's been raped and assaulted by her boyfriend, who subsequently kills her. I'm angry about that. I'm not an angry person.
I see.
But and also, not being an angry person is a process. You don't just get to not being an angry person, you know. Was I an angry person before I released this book? Hell yes. I was angry at myself. I was angry at my mother, who was dead and could not give me answers as to why could you not see at the age of 6 that I was being raped. I was angry at my grandmother, who could not have seen, who did not see that I was being raped. I was angry at every member of my family. And I was angry at the fact that even when I did speak about it, no one could actually say I'm sorry. And so I was angry about a lot of things, which made me an angry person. But then I had to work through it, and that's how Mastered Pieces was birthed. Because
so I mean, so when you wrote My Pain Perfected, were you still angry then?
Yes. I was still angry, and I was angry at God. You know.
Where were you? What was your no, I mean at God.
At God.
What was the thinking like? God, you...
I was just like, what kind of God are you that you would allow
this thing to happen? And you have an interesting way of... because you say you don't identify with the word victim. I'm also curious about... so what's hard about it? Because you said where you have to live. So what's hard about what you do, sharing your story? Is it the fact that you have to... constantly talk about it, or
I don't mind talking about it, because I had to. There's certain things that God and I had to agree on.
Yeah.
When He said, now go and speak. And one of those things were, you have to make sure that I'm a whole person before I can speak to other people.
Yeah.
Whole does not mean you don't have parts of you that you're unsure about.
Yeah.
But you're whole in the sense that you know that you've gone through it and it's gone.
Yeah.
So I identified much with the word victim when I felt sorry for myself. And I was just like, I'm this girl, I've been raped, and now a lot of things and whatever. And up until the point when I made the decision that to make this better, you will speak your story so that another person is healed, another person can see hope. That kept on making me whole. So speaking about my story doesn't hurt. What hurts is that most times I get to realize the levels of brokenness that I've had to go through, and some places of brokenness that I probably have not even discovered because I haven't been to certain places in my life.
I mean, so when you recognize it in other people.
Yes, and when I recognize it in other people, when another person says to me, this is what happened to me, it kills me.
Yeah, because you said you're not a crier when you talk about
I'm
it.
not
So
a
when you
crier
hear
when
other
I
people
talk about it, but if someone else is saying this is what happened to me, it breaks me because I was that person, and I wish that someone could have an ear to listen.
And this whole, I want to, I suppose, go into the direction of, say, ministry and how it has worked for you. But before then your relationship with the men and this fixing things, or dealing with it. What's your opinion on this men are trash movement, and having experienced what you experienced, and being touched by other people's stories, and because I'm just trying to understand how you figure it out, because you say you don't identify with the word victim, but you understand why people are angry and justifiably so. So where do you fit? Like, so when society's trying to fix,
I had an interview this one time, and I think it was when the movement was still starting.
Yeah.
And the lady then asked me, do you think all men? I think she asked it directly.
Yeah. Do you think all men?
Do you think all men are trash? Or I think she asked it directly, and I said no. And I said no because a part of me is hopeful that there are men who actually own their identity. There are men who are caring, who are loving, who would not hurt women or any other person for that matter. Do I agree with look, if you're going to want something to trend, obviously you have to connect it to the negative. You connect anything or anyone to trash, it's gonna trend. And that was the essence of that movement. So and it really wasn't even a movement. It still isn't a movement. It's a hashtag trend.
Do you think it was useful though?
It was useful in addressing the issues and bringing awareness to the issue. But my question is, what are we doing? Post the trends, post the marches, what are we doing? Because you will actually find that my whole entire life is actually about bringing an impact, positive impact into people's lives. Whether I do that through speaking, through writing, through counseling people, whatever it is, I must have an impact. And so that's why I don't, and not that I don't support things that trend, like the Me Too movement, but I feel like we need to have a what after. Understanding or mindset that says, okay, once we have all of this trend, once I tell my story as Simamkele, what do I do afterwards? Do I avail myself when someone says, I just want your cell phone number because I have something to talk to you about? Do you actually release your cell phone number and give it to that person because you could be saving a life? Because I think there's also this thing of now because you are known, you feel like you're better, you know? And so it's small things that actually allow us to change the direction of anything. So are all men trash? No, they're not. But there are some trashy men who deserve to be behind bars or dead. I don't know.
So one of the two.
But not all men are trash.
So then, linked to what you're saying, I also hear the idea of then serving people, to not just popularize something, but to be available for people. Then because ministry is a big part of your life, and a calling.
It is a calling.
A calling. Do you mind maybe just, I suppose, sharing a little bit about that the calling, what are you called to do?
Okay. So the calling is what probably led me to writing my first book, to me starting to speak professionally, and then going into ministry. And the calling was simply God saying to me, just because something happened in your childhood or in your background, or something bad happened to you, does not mean you've lost life. And because of where you are and how strong you were and the things that you've achieved along the way, I need you to go awaken the dreams and the purposes of those people who think that their lives are over. And I do it in every way possible. And so that's how God called me. But when He called me, He required that I address the issues
within yourself.
Yes, I address each and everything that I had a problem with, including the anger. Because you can never speak wholeness or peace to someone else if you don't have it. So I told Him, you're gonna fix me. And then when you're done fixing me, then we can go and fix the world.
And how's the fixing coming?
It's been a beautiful, messy, dirty, but glorious road.
And you say you wouldn't change it for...
I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't change everything I've gone through for anything because of the impact that I've seen to have had on people's lives.
Do you also have people opposing you? Like when you speak to people?
Especially in the Christian walk. Because my
fellow brothers and sisters.
Yes. I was the one. Yes. Because my journey in discovering God and building relationship with God firstly came through a homosexual. I got to know God through a homosexual. And I never hide that. So you make a mistake if you give me a platform and you think I'm not gonna speak about my testimony. Because I got to know God through a lesbian who I was dating. And second to that is that, so this one pastor said to me, she watched a video of me and she said, how can you say you got to know love through a homosexual and the love of God through a homosexual when God opposes sin? And I said to her that I didn't know up until I started walking with God that God will never remove the gift that He's given you, whether you're a sinner or not, until I had to experience it myself. Just because she was lesbian or she is lesbian did not take away from her relationship with God. He did not stop blessing her because she was lesbian. Does that mean being lesbian is right in a biblical sense? No. But did it take away from what God had given her? It didn't. And because of what she had and what she carried of God, it brought about a Simamkele now, who people here speak the word and they ask themselves, how do you know God this way? And I'm just like, I'm just the girl who raised her hand and said, use me, Lord. But for God to use me, He used a person that was a sinner. And I was too, But we have to remove ourselves from being these judges. Because I think that's a major thing. That we feel like we know God more, and God can't use you because I know this and this about you, you know. So I've had a lot of opposition, especially from that front.
But particularly on that what you've just described.
Because everything that I am in terms of ministry, kind of finds its roots there. You know. I grew up in a family that, I mean, my grandmother is a prayerful woman. She's amazing, you know. And she taught me how to pray. Right? And I grew up in the Methodist church, so I was clued up on the Jesus thing, but I wasn't clued up on the purpose relationship thing with the Lord until I met someone who could say, I don't have funding for my PhD, but I'm gonna pray until a breakthrough comes, and a breakthrough comes, and I'm just like, I want your God. I want the God who's going to oppose me saying I can't do this, who's gonna tell me I've given you all kinds of knowledge. You know, you are gifted in all kinds of knowledge, and you're gonna kick ass with this law, even though you feel like it's not going to happen. So I was like, I want that God, the God that I can access at any time, the God who's not going to say to me, but you're doing this and that. That's our thing. But the kind of God who will love and heal me as broken as I am, and as broken as people think I am, but he will still do something in my life, you know. And that's what I saw, you know, in her. I still remember the first time we had a conversation, she told me how she had left home, coming from rural King Williamstown.
And who is she?
My ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
Rural
do you guys still
King
talk?
Williamstown. We still talk, but it's not it's not as strong as it was before. We still talk. She's an ex, so
I mean, would you?
But she's got.
Are you with somebody at the moment?
Now? I am now.
Is it a man or a woman?
It's a man.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
so how do you identify them?
I'm straight.
Okay.
I'm very straight.
So how do you?
She was the first and last.
How do you explain that part of your life?
A lot of people ask what happened, and I simply say, I fell in love with the person.
Okay.
I fell in love with the person. The person happened to be a girl, but I fell in love. That's when I learned that you cannot be in a relationship without understanding the character of a person. Because that character is what feeds into your life, but that character is also what builds or breaks you. And so, I mean, I speak a lot about that in my other book, Love Unscripted, which
the one where that's coming.
Yes.
Where you're busy cooking.
Yes.
I think
and that's why I speak
about that,
that's why I speak sex, relationships, being single, the expectation of marriage, and all of that. So she taught me that, or God taught me that through that relationship. So that's how I explain it, you know, that I fell in love with the person. She just so happened to be a woman, and it had its ups and it had its downs.
Then why
did I do it again? No.
I was going to ask then, why do you say, so how would you not fall in love with a person again?
That's a woman. Because there's certain things that, especially when you walk with God. When Paul says, the things I want to do or I used to do, I do them no more. You change your walk when you've walked with God. There's certain things that you won't have an appetite for. You may want them, they may look good, but you don't have the appetite for them.
But do you struggle with that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. Do I struggle with the sex thing? Yes. With sex in the perspective of, I really want to have sex, I really want to be in a relationship and have sex, and I know that God doesn't want that. But
you told me about the purity.
So that's what I struggle with.
So what is your...
This ring.
So no, what do you struggle with, and the ring?
Okay, so what I struggle with is my flesh wants what it wants. It wants a man, it wants sex, and it also just wants comfort, like cuddles.
Who doesn't want to be held?
You know? And so sometimes I struggle with that because I'm just like, I'm having a really crappy day. A good cuddle would do me well, with a glass of wine and
pizza.
And other stuff. And so sometimes I struggle with that. And so when I started walking with God, especially in the calling perspective, one of the requirements was that I go on a celibacy journey.
Okay, so celibacy, what do you mean?
Celibacy being I don't have sex.
Till when?
Till marriage.
Okay.
Have I been consistent? No. Because sometimes it's just hard. Especially when you've had a seed planted in you in childhood. That thing, you constantly have to fight it. But I'm still failing forward. In the name of Jesus.
I like that. I like that because I think life is about that, life is about, it's not about being perfect, it's about failing forward. I suppose moving forward. Not letting. I think you fail when you stop trying.
Yes.
And so I think once you try to be better, even the brain works that way. I like how children learn how to walk. Just because they miss a step, they don't like, that's
stop.
it. I'm checking out of this. This walking business is tough. But you keep trying. So there's that growth thing that you're talking about. Wow, I mean the time has flown by.
It has. Wow, my word.
No, I think we should do this again.
We definitely must.
I think we should do this again. So maybe if you could if we could end here with just mastered pieces. To I mean, what's that about? I mean, if somebody asked you, what's that about? I know you talk about calling, talking about confronting yourself, ideas about how God can take what's broken, and build something beautiful. If so, in a short kind of way. Well, I suppose your message to somebody who's been where you are, because that's why I actually partly why I wanted to talk to you, is because I meet people, when I listen to them, I'm like, sometimes they seem so hopeless. And then I'm like, but I know this lady, man. When she's been through a lot, but when she speaks, there's something different about her, and she's got what is it that happened to you that is also happening to you that's making you not be a negative person, but a person who, or not, so there's anger, justifiably so, but you choose to be more, okay, you want to serve, you want to help. What is that? What's that about? And
so I had a weird revelation actually coming here, because I knew that question was going to come at the end. And it's as if God was saying, this is what you say. This is what you say. So I drive, my car has a dent in the boot. Because someone decided to drive into my car.
In South Africa, people drive in interesting ways.
So on the freeway, by the way, which is quite crazy.
In the fast lane or the slow lane?
Fast.
And fast is 120. Other people think fast is something.
Ish. But anyway, so my car has the dent. And if we are to look at our lives as a model car, as a Polo, a VW Polo, does the VW Polo change when it has a dent? No. It remains a VW Polo. Can the dent be fixed? Yes. Is it going to be a painful journey? Yes, because it has to be panel beaten, but it also means it's going to cost something. But it can be fixed. And that's all of us. Just because stuff has happened and has caused, is that you are going to go to your original form, but it requires you to go the journey, to walk the process.
So you have to be willing.
You have to be willing, unfortunately. Is it going to cost you? Yes. It may cost you relationships, it may cost you friends, it may cost you breaking certain patterns, so that you go back to what God had said you are from the beginning. But you can still move.
Yeah.
You've got dents, but you can still move forward.
Yeah.
You've got dents, but you can still be panel beated to your original form.
I think
so it's at the end.
I think that's a beautiful. I mean, I wanted to ask you other things, but I think we'll leave it there. I think we'll leave it there.
Alrighty.
Okay then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing the space with me. We'll do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Once your other book comes, or even before.
Okay.
We'll just chat.
We'll just chat.
Because I think there's lots more to chat about.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a long time coming. It was an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.